I just came by to encourage you on this morning and to let you know that God has got you covered. Glory to God. Whatever you're experiencing, whatever you're in need of, whatever you're going through, just know that God has got you covered. But you got to stay in Him. You got to remain in Him. You got to stay focused. You got to stay in the will of God. Psalms 91 tells us that he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. That word dwell means to stay, to remain, to reside in Him. See, you got to stay in Him. You got to remain in Him. You got to reside in Him. That word reside means to live in Him. Glory to God. You got to stay in His presence. You got to stay in His will. You got to stay obedient to the things that He's told you to do. You got to remain in Him. That word abide, shakar, means to marinate, to saturate yourself in Him. See, we got to get to the place where we abide in God like never before, that we saturate ourselves in Him, that we marinate ourselves in His presence, that we get into a deep level of worship with the Father. Verse number 2 says that I will say of the Lord that He is my refuge, my fortress. In Him I will trust. See, when you get to that point where you begin to dwell and remain in God, you get to a level of trust like never before. You know that whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're experiencing, that God is working on your behalf because He's got you covered. The Amplified version says in verse number 2, it says, will remain secure and rest in the shadow of the Almighty, whose power no enemy can withstand. See, in God's power, under the shadow of the Almighty, no enemy can withstand the power of God. But see, you got to stay in God. You got to remain in Him. You cannot allow what you experience to move you out of God. You cannot allow your current situation, your hard trials, your troubles. You can't allow these things to move you out of the covering, the safety of God. God said He's got you covered on this morning. Whatever you're dealing with, whatever you need, God said, I got you covered. But you got to dwell in me. You got to remain in me. You got to stay steadfast, glory to God. You got to continue to press. You got to stay in my presence, glory to God. Whatever you're in need of, I got you covered. Just continue to seek me. Continue to press past how you feel, glory to God. Whatever you need in your marriage, God's got you covered. Whatever you need in your family relationship, God's got you covered. Whatever you need in your business, in your ministry, just know that God has got you covered. But you got to remain in Him. You got to dwell in Him. You got to stay in Him. You got to seek Him like never before.